Hi, my name is Jordan. I am a special education teacher from the UK. I share my passion for everything communication, sensory regulation, and fun lesson ideas for my classroom of disabled pupils aged 4 to 11. Each week, I am joined by experts in the field, answering your questions and sharing our knowledge and experience working alongside our beautiful young people. Let's get started. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sensory Classroom podcast. My name's Jordan. Today, I am joined by special guest Josie, who is a sibling of somebody with special educational needs. And I thought it was really important to talk about siblings today because it is a very important role and one that you don't choose to do, one that is chosen for you. And yet there are so many fantastic siblings out there who care and adore their siblings so much and actually are incredible support network for them. Welcome, Josie, to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So first of all, let's talk about your family. What does your family dynamic look like so we can imagine where you come from and what brings you to this space?
Yeah, no, of course. Obviously, I'm Josie. I'm the oldest sibling. I have a younger sister called Rosie, and she's 19. So I always say she's my little sister, but she's not very little anymore. And we're actually currently transitioning to adult services and kind of all that stuff. Rosie is classed as a child with PMLD, and so she has quite profound needs and requires care from an adult at all times throughout the day, be that me and my mum at home or her teachers at school, her TAs, support workers, whatever that kind of looks like for us. So Rosie was born when I was 3, so there's only a 3-year age gap between us. So it is pretty much all I've ever known. I don't have any other siblings, so I don't know what life is like with a neurotypical or a normal sibling, so to speak. And yeah, this is pretty much how we've always grown up. So she is full-time in a wheelchair. Our whole house is adapted. We have a lift in the house, which is always something that people find a bit crazy. She's hoisted full-time. She's spoon-fed. All of that is done by either me or my mum. And then my dad does help as well, but he lives away. So that's quite nice that she gets the option to go to either or house. But yeah, our life has been very different, obviously, because my sister cannot access things typically. That doesn't stop us as a family, though. We're very much, she will do it if we can find a way. But obviously, as she's got bigger, that is harder. But then I've got bigger, so I've been able to help a bit more. But it has very much kind of shaped my life as an adult growing up as well. And my whole kind of journey professionally has now been because of my sister.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about what you do professionally, and then maybe we'll go back to think about being a child sibling of somebody with PMLD. So what do you do now? What has all your life experience led you to become?
So my biggest kind of achievement now, which is all due to my sister, is in January of last year, I set up a children's charity. So we're based in Coventry in the Midlands, and the children's charity is called Ladybug Lodge. My little sister, well, Rosie has I shouldn't call her little because she's really not. Rosie had a VTech Ladybug toy that she got for her 3rd birthday, and she still has it now. We have about 40 in the loft that my partner has to repair because she keeps breaking them. And yeah, Ladybug Lodge was basically named after her toy and our experiences as a family growing up. Not always accessing activities that we could do together, or maybe we were accessing things that didn't really work for Rosie but worked for me, or they really worked for her, but then I was kind of just sat watching. And obviously, as I got bigger, I didn't want to go to soft play, maybe, or I didn't want to do those things, but she still really does. So yeah, in January of last year, I got together with some incredible parents, friends, ex-professional friends, whatever that kind of is, to set this charity up with the main aim that the whole family is at the session, no matter what is going on. It's not just the SEND child and their parent or them and their PA. Actually, the whole family can come and do activities together. So that's kind of snowballed in the past year and a half, and we provide a heck of a lot of activities for families with children and young people up to 25 with special educational needs. We've got term time groups after school, weekend sessions. Our holiday provision is crazy, but we're already supporting nearly 400 families, which is just incredible. But a lot of that is families coming with their siblings who get to join in, not necessarily all the time with the thing their SEND sibling is doing, but they get to be in an environment where other siblings completely understand, or us as staff and volunteers understand, because maybe that was us 10 years ago, or we've known that journey. And for families as well, for parents, they're not having to go, where's he going to go today? Is he going to go to club? Do I have to pay for him to go to tennis club while I take my SEND child to a messy play session? or where do I put everyone? Do I have to arrange a sleepover because I can't get them both there? It's not suitable. Actually, no, now they can all come to the same thing and not be trying to juggle all those things at the same time. Which was obviously really important from my point of view because I would have loved something like that when I was younger, just to be able to all go to the same thing.
Yeah, so what is the reality then? Without a charity like yours, without that
Yeah.
data to activities that are suitable for all, can you remember any specifics or of events where you felt either that Rosie, it wasn't suitable, she was just put on her brakes, nothing was
Yeah.
meeting her needs, and she was passive and not getting anything out of it, or that she was having a great time and you were bored and understimulated as well?
Yeah, so my sister loves bowling, like things like that, 'cause it's accessible in her wheelchair, and that was never something I was interested in. So her birthday party would always associate around, oh, we're going bowling, because her and her friends could do that. And that was something I'd never pick. And even though lots of families would enjoy that, it just wasn't my preference. But then I used to swim when I was younger, and I did swimming galas at school. And a lot of the time she couldn't get into the pool or even get into the facility itself because it wasn't accessible. And just little things like if I had a gymnastics competition or I was playing netball or whatever that was, she couldn't even get there. It wasn't even she can't join in because that was pretty much given. But she often couldn't actually get in the front door, which was really hard, obviously, because then she couldn't even watch if she wanted to. And even now, some of those facilities don't exist. But it was difficult in that sense that we couldn't even have that family time where if I enjoyed that, she could come along. But then the things that she did enjoy, yes, I could go. Like she loves messy play, and I mean, now I love messy play, and it's great. I think it's amazing. But when I was probably 12 or 13, I probably thought, oh, that's a bit weird. And she would love doing that, or she'd love going to a music session where I might feel a bit uncomfortable because it's a bit more public and group involvement. But that was the only thing she could go to. We didn't have a choice in that sense. So she loved that, but I was often sitting there going, this is a bit much for me. This is not my personal kind of Saturday activity choice. But obviously, she'd really enjoyed that. So it was very much a big toss up of what can we do to suit both of us. But it didn't often usually work, that there was one that did suit us both at the same time.
Yeah, and then like you said, even if it's one of your choice, well, it would be nice if the other one could at least be in the building,
Yeah, of course.
to at least enjoy observing the other person,
Yeah,
doing what they're
exactly.
doing, like netball or whatever. That makes so much sense, and it's very much still ongoing, as you say,
Yeah,
the physically accessible, having accessible toilets, having ramps,
yeah, definitely.
all of those things are still very much in progress. Is that
Yeah.
something really important when you were choosing a location for your
Yeah, I think
setting?
for us especially, I've obviously before Ladybug Lodge, I've worked as a teacher in a autism provision base. I've worked in special needs schools, and obviously the range of need is so high. But it always comes down to there's autism sessions or there's sensory processing sessions and there's quiet sessions. But even still, she still couldn't get in. And I always remember specifically, we went to a local trampoline park and they were advertising, there's a SEND session, there's a SEND session, there's a SEND session. And I was like, great, because she loves rebound at school. We have a trampoline in the garden. We can make it work between us. Like if we take enough people, we can lift her up out of her chair and onto a trampoline. And she'll love that. And we turned up and they were like, okay, like you're here for the session. And we were like, yeah, like let's sign in, whatever, did all the waivers, walked through the door, and the only way to get to trampolines was up steps. And I said, well, she can't actually get in. And they went, oh, well, you have to carry her up. And I said, but you wouldn't say that to someone else. You wouldn't say that to a child who was walking, and yeah, you would just wouldn't say that. So things like that were really important. That actually, if a child's coming in a wheelchair, be that powered, a small one, self-propelling, whatever they're doing, that they could get in the venue initially. But then even still, once they're in, that the point of access wasn't just that they can get in the venue. The doors need to be double doors. They need to be automatic. There needs to be buttons. There needs to be a change in places, mobile hoist, ceiling hoist, whatever that kind of setup is. There needs to be an option. And yes, even now, we don't have a ceiling hoist in half the rooms because we hire a local send primary school. And obviously, they are not as adapted as they possibly can be because they're suiting a massive range of needs. But if a child wants to get out in soft play, we have a mobile hoist that we can take to soft play. And in an ideal world, we'd just have ceiling tracking everywhere. But obviously, we can't do that unless we had our own venue. But at the same point, they can still get out in a mobile hoist. I can take it outside. We can take it into the hall. We can take it wherever we need to. But if they need a change in places, we've got the bed with sides. It's comfy. It's not just a massage bed that's been put in the cupboard and gone, oh, that's suitable for you to get changed on. It's private. It's bespoke. We've got all them things. And that, for me, especially because my sister, I always say if she can't get in and access it, to the way we'd want to go somewhere and access it, then there's no point doing it, because
Yeah.
there's going to be children with needs just as high as hers, but also children that need even greater need. And if we can't even meet at that level, it's not inclusive. And I
Yeah, if
think
you
that's a
can't meet their
massive.
basic needs of toilet
Exactly. Yeah.
access, then you can't call yourself a send session, can you? And I
No.
can totally see where that frustration comes from. Years of attending these, oh, finally there's a session that we can
Yeah.
both enjoy, and then you can't even get through the door.
Yeah.
It's false advertising, isn't it? And
Yeah.
I know they
Exactly.
call it greenwashing when it's about eco stuff. Maybe it's
Yeah. No. Of course.
disability washing, like
Yeah.
they're just ticking a box to say they're doing a send session, and
No.
actually
Definitely.
there is so much more to meeting. Like if you actually cared about the disabled community, then
Yeah.
you would make fully accessible sessions. And also,
Yeah.
can we just say, not on a random time on a Saturday that no one else wants anyway?
Honestly, I was going to
Do
say
you
this
find
about the
that too?
trampoline session. So, yeah, the trampoline centre, and I'm sure families who listen to this who are local to us will know exactly who I'm talking about. Their centre session is on Sunday at 4 till 6. My sister's like on wind down time. She loves to see BB's bedtime story every night. She's ready to watch that. She's not ready for a day, like an hour trip
About
out to trampolining. Yeah, like even me as an adult, I'd be like, oh, that's a bit much for me on a Sunday, especially if she has school the next day. Like
Yeah, it's
that's a
totally inappropriate, isn't
yeah,
it?
it's not appropriate at all. And the amount of sessions we've been to where it's on like a Wednesday night at 8 o'clock at night, and it's like, well, no, she wants to go to bed. Like, if you actually saw how much she's done today, when it's physio, swimming, she's done all these things. She's exhausted come 4 o'clock, let alone then finding the energy to come out again. But also then on us as a family to extend our day even more so, because I think they often forget that actually parents and siblings who are supporting with the care, when they go to bed, that is usually your time off and that's your bit of respite. But if we're then dragging the day even longer, as much as that experience is nice, we've then not had that decompressing time, or maybe we're preparing medication or doing food prep or something in that time. We've had to shove all that back, and then maybe we're not going to bed for 2 hours later because we've wanted to do something nice and then probably had an issue anyway, or she's then tired because of it. So it's kind of, yeah, but that still happens everywhere. Every session we see, the times are just so inaccessible.
If you could use this platform, or imagine you're in a room and all
Yeah,
of these big businesses are listening.
yeah,
From a sibling's point of view, what would you say to them to help them understand the importance of having accessible, realistically timed, fully
yeah.
accessible sessions for you as a sibling and you as a family and for your sister?
Yeah, I think they need to look at it in a sense that her needs are not separate from our needs, and that it should suit us, not her. And that isn't a way of saying, oh, okay, well, she can come at this time, but you get to tag along as well. Actually, no, we want to come on our schedule, which is on a Saturday afternoon or on a Saturday morning, or we've just been out for lunch on a Sunday afternoon and we want to go and do something afterwards. We're not the second thought. We shouldn't be the afterthought to your normal sessions, which I think is what they often see it as, oh, we can't make as much money on this session. Yeah, but you could if you actually put it at the right time. And they often don't see that point of view. But I always say you have to have lived experience, and businesses should be consulting local schools, local parents, carer forums, whatever that looks like, to say actually what does work, because they're just doing it as we've made it inclusive but not accessible. So you're completely missing the point. But yeah, I think they need massive, massive input from families, siblings, even the young people themselves, because I know so many young people who could say, I don't want to do that at 8 o'clock at night. I want my bedtime routine. I want whatever that is. And that they need to move that to the daytime and ultimately try it. If it doesn't work, fair enough, that's completely fine, because not everyone wants to do those things. But arguing that, oh, it's not going to sell, it's not going to make us as much money. Well, how do you know? You don't know until you try. And we always say that at Ladybug Lodge. We don't know if something's going to work until we try. And that has been things that haven't worked or families haven't enjoyed. But if we didn't do that, we wouldn't get the feedback. Whereas all these companies get now is negative press because families aren't happy with it, but then they don't do anything about it. So yeah, it's an interesting one. They need to really kind of see it as if this was a normal family, for example, what would they do? They'd come at 2 o'clock on a Saturday, 8 o'clock, which
Looking
is
back
hard.
to when you were a child and a young teen, if you had really great and broad
Mm,
access to those activities that you could enjoy with your sister at a suitable time that were totally
yeah,
fun for both of you, just like you offer yours. If you had a really broad section, if you that was
yeah.
available to you when you were younger, what difference and impact would that have had on you as a sibling and for your sister and maybe your parents as well?
Yeah. Well, I think it'd just be massive. Like we offer in the holidays especially, which is so loved, is swimming in a hydrotherapy pool. And it's a private session. There's only 6 people in the pool at a time. The pool is heated, which is such a key thing for my sister that if we go to a standard swimming pool, it's too cold and she wants to get out. And because of her needs, she can obviously do a bit of physio in the pool and she needs hoisting in. If we could have done that every weekend since she was little, the difference in her leg mobility, her arm mobility, all of that could be astronomical now, but we will obviously never know. Which I think is really hard because she can swim nearly, which is incredible for her. But if she had that regular input all the time, we could go swimming all the time and not be thinking about, oh, we're working, we're not playing. Actually, she probably could play and join in with some activities and games. Whereas now, because we haven't had that time, we're so quick to go, oh, let's do a bit of physio, let's do this. And it takes the fun out of it. Whereas if we'd been doing this
Mm,
forever, now it would just be fun, which we're kind of getting to that point now. But when I was 12, I would have loved to have got in the pool and been diving around and splashing her and soaking her and not worrying that, oh, she's going to swallow too much water or she's not going to react in time or we're going to need 3 people in the pool. Actually, she would have just been able to play. And I think for me, when I was younger, because I didn't have other siblings, I very much relied on friends to get like fun moments with. And yes, we've had amazing experiences and memories that I will never forget. But there's things that I'm going, oh, but I've never done that with her. And I've only done that with my friends, or she's never seen me do this, or we've never done that together. And I think that would have been the big difference. But I think, especially for my mum, trying to split that time was so hard because my sister's needs are obviously so much greater than mine. But for her to have maybe had some times where she can just sit and watch us play and not be thinking, oh, I need to do this soon, or
yeah.
I've got to do this, or I'm starting to think about this, or I've got to drop Josie here soon because I need to take Rosie to this. She wouldn't have had that constant kind of monologue and blocking in her mind that she has to do all these things. She might have just been able to sit and go, this is really nice. They're playing. I can do something leisurely because I'm not thinking about it too much. But yeah, we did have obviously amazing experiences, but even now, I think it's only been in the last 4 or 5 years that we've done things that Rosie's really loved. Like we went kayaking for the first time, and she went rock climbing, and she loved that. And we have travelled further to do that, but we would have done that every single year if we knew it was an option. Whereas it's only really started to come up now, which I think is a shame because obviously as she's got bigger, her needs have got bigger, and things are now less accessible because she's heavier and we can't lift. Whereas when she was 5 or 6, we would have easily done these activities quite often. Whereas now we have to be limited because of her tiredness or our backs or whatever that is, or manual handling equipment. Whereas if she could have done that when she was really young, it could have been something that she's done every single year, every month, or been an activity that she actively chooses for, actively wants to do. Whereas now she hasn't really had that, and it's a bit more sporadic, like, oh, we're going to try this. And so I think that would have just been massive for us to have more of a range of options for her as well. That it wasn't just we're going to do this each weekend. It was actually no,
Yeah, because you only had one option.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of the time it was this or that. Whereas now we can say, oh, okay, when we go on holiday, do you want to do activities on holiday? Do you want to go kayaking? Yeah, you do. Okay, we can do that. Whereas before, there wasn't always that option or readily known that there was that option that wasn't just for her again. It wasn't a, oh, we'll send her away with carers or nurses or whatever that is, and she will do those fun things, but I will then be at home.
Yeah, you're not getting that shared experience.
Yeah, it's still not the
I
same.
think that's what this podcast is really showing actually, that it's not about access for her necessarily. Of course, that's
Yeah,
important. It's not also about a great activities for you and,
yeah,
so that you can actually access other things other than being a carer, because that's important
yeah,
as well, and meeting other people. It's about that shared experience
yeah, definitely.
sometimes and enjoying just being siblings.
Yeah.
What was it like growing up with a disabled sister?
Different, I think. But then I also don't know any different. And someone said to me the other day, if I change anything about my life, what would I change? And I would never say I'd change Rosie. There are things I would love. I'd love for her to talk a bit more. I'd love for her to walk, like that would be amazing. But then I also think she would cause absolute havoc, so maybe it's not a good idea. Um, but yeah, it obviously was different, and there was yeah, many memorable moments, like being called out of a GCSE exam because she'd been rushed to hospital, and just things that none of my friends experienced that really. But I think we were lucky in the sense that my sister's primary school did a like Saturday and summer play scheme when she was really young, so I was probably only 11 at the time. And siblings were welcome to go to that, and there was two other siblings who were the same age as me. And even though we weren't necessarily best of friends or whatever, but it was nice that when there was something going wrong with our siblings, we had that little check in with each other. Because a lot of my friends at school, if I was at hospital with my sister in the evening, maybe I'd literally left school, got the bus, got to the hospital, and I'd stay there until 9 o'clock, get home, go to bed, and do the same again. And that could have been 2 weeks in a row if she was having surgery or she'd been ill. All my friends didn't understand because they just don't, and that's not their normal. Whereas for me, that was my normal, and it was nice then to have those two siblings that I know to just say, "Oh, we're back in hospital again," and they kind of understand the whole,
Yeah.
well, do you need anything? And they weren't saying that just to be polite. They genuinely would offer things that they knew we would need. And it would be things like, oh, could you bring us some syringes? We've left this at home. We've left this. And they would completely understand that.
Mm.
Whereas I don't feel like any of my friends fully understand. I feel like even now, some of my friends don't fully understand. And I mean, all my friends love Rosie, and those that have met her are amazing with her. But it's just not the same as your day to
Mm.
day. Every day you wake up, you watch her on the monitor, and at night, like you hear a noise in the night and you don't think, well, someone's getting in. It's, oh, is she okay? Has she caught her arm in the bed? Has a pillow landed on her face? Like, what is it? You're constantly in that kind of fight or flight mode
Mm.
all the time, which no one around me at the time was experienced either. So I think that was obviously different. But I don't know. I'd never change anything, I don't think at all. But yeah, it is
Just
an
more
interesting
access.
experience. And just more access, just doing things together would have been so much nicer, I think, because obviously you're in that zone all the time of what do I do, what's going on. Things can be stressful. You'd hear horrible news from surgeons, and you'd kind of just go, and I think because of that, I grew up way too quickly and I was way too mature for my age.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed actually with siblings. They adore
Yeah,
their siblings. That's no, there's no question, and feel so protective.
yeah,
But there is an
definitely.
aura of maturity around
Yes,
them, and nor an aura of worries that other children their age don't have,
yeah,
and
definitely.
responsibilities that other children their age don't have. So I think it's
Yeah.
wonderful to hear that you had other children that you can relate to, and I'm
Yeah, which
sure
was lovely.
that at your lodge, that's also a huge benefit as well,
Yeah,
is that siblings can connect in that way. So there's that understanding of that weight of that
yeah,
responsibility and
definitely.
their love of their sibling. Maybe other people don't understand what it's like to
Yeah,
love and care for and be responsible
yeah,
for
definitely.
somebody at that age.
Yeah, and we found at Ladybug Lodge Sessions especially, so we do different sessions depending on age, and then we have a separate session for children with PMLD, just because we can do so much more to cater for them, and we can get specialist equipment out and whatnot. And we had two families recently, and one was a little girl with quite profound needs, and another was an older boy with quite profound needs, and they both came with a sibling of the same age. And these two got on like an absolute house on fire from the second they walked in. And at one point, one of the mums called the boy back and said, "Oh, I need you to get some syringes out the car because I've left them in the car and I can't leave her on her own." And he was like, "Oh, I'll be back in a minute. I need to help my mum." And the other sibling, she went, "Well, I'm going to go and check in on my brother." And they kind of then met back in the middle. And the boy went, "Oh, I've got the syringe for my mum. Like, she's okay." And the sister went, "Yeah, my brother's fine. We can carry on playing now." And then every 10 minutes, they were just going, "Should we go and check they're okay?" And in their mind, they were still, even though they were playing and having a water fight and decorating biscuits and doing all those fun things away from their siblings, they still had that monologue in the back of their mind going, are they okay? Does my mum need a hand? Do they need me to get anything? Has something happened while I've not been here? Like, do I need to go and help? But when one of them would say, I need to go and help, they're like, okay, if you need anything. And they were both only 9, and they already had that kind of, well, if you need anything, I know I can probably help you because I understand. Whereas there was definitely children at my school when I was 9 who wouldn't have understood that at all and would have been like, what do you mean you need to go and get a syringe from your mom? What are you getting that for?" Like, they just didn't have that kind of contextual awareness. Whereas those two especially, they understood each other's situation so much, even though on paper their siblings
Mm.
are completely different. But they knew the complexities of, if mum needs a hand, I'm the best person to help her
Yeah.
right now because we're not at home, or dad's not here, so I can help, or whatever that was. They were the second carer, and they were
Yeah.
both 9, which is crazy because no 9-year-old has that pressure usually or that kind of intensity, but they both took it on the chin and completely respected each other for doing it because they both understood. Whereas if they were at a soft play running around with other families, those families might have been like, well, what do you mean? I don't understand. And that's when the questions come, which can then be quite hard for siblings because you can explain it all you want, but people still don't completely understand. And so I think things like that are lovely because they wouldn't have that understanding elsewhere unless they access kind of young carer sessions or whatever that is. But again, even that is so few and far between, and you might not always be with families who are caring for a sibling. You might be with ones that are caring for a parent, a grandparent, or maybe their siblings' needs are completely different and actually you don't understand that level of need.
Yeah.
But for those two especially, both having siblings with PMLD, they both just feel like, yeah, okay, that makes sense, I understand, which is so nice for a 9-year-old. But for them to then just go, let's go back in the ball pit, they can then kind of forget again and then go back to it. But they both had that understanding of each other. So yeah, it was really nice.
It must have been really wonderful for you to see that as well. And your inner child must
Yeah,
just been
no, it
singing with
does.
joy.
Honestly, it does. So I think that's all I would have wanted,
Yeah.
especially in moments like that where maybe something does go wrong, or just to have that person that goes, "Oh, it's okay, like I'll be here when you get back." But when you get back, they don't bombard you with questions. What happened? Are they okay? Like, is everything? What's going on now? It was just, okay. Well, are they okay? Yeah, they are. Okay, that's fine. Let's just carry on playing because they know deep down you will say more if you feel you need to. But as a sibling, they also know I don't actually need to know. I just want to give you that time. So yeah, it really does, especially me, I think, because of my sister, it really does make me feel, yeah, very warm inside when that happens. But yeah, loads of the families as well, the parents, they appreciate that actually the children they're playing with, their siblings are playing with, are other siblings who completely get it as well. And they've then not got that potential bias or judgment of, oh, why is your sibling acting like that? They're not bothered at all. So there's no kind of negative energy at all in that space. It's just completely, this is really nice. They feel welcome here and safe, but they know they can come back to us.
There's a lot of parents that listen to this podcast that hold a lot of guilt
Mm.
over the amount of time and energy that they need to spend with their disabled child in comparison to their non-disabled child. What would you say to the parents that are feeling that way?
I think that is really, really hard because as a parent, obviously you want what's best for all your children, but obviously children with complex care needs, whatever that is, you just can't do that. You can't split yourself in two and say, you will have this part of me forever and you will have this part of me. And I think my mum found that really hard because I was late diagnosed with ADHD at 17. And I think maybe if my sister didn't have the needs she did, they would have realised that a lot sooner. But I also think every professional ever just went, oh, she's a carer, it's fine. We'll just tarnish her with that brush. And actually, me having that kind of discovery at 17 was massive. And I know my mum felt guilt for that. But she couldn't have done anything because if she didn't care for my sister the way she has, she wouldn't be the person she is, or my sister wouldn't have developed as well as she has. And yeah, I know she probably does feel guilty, but I wouldn't have wanted her to give me more if it was going
Yeah.
to give her less. And I think every sibling probably does have moments where they go, oh, I wish my mum could help me right now, or I really can't do my homework, but she's too busy showering my sibling, which is going to take 2 hours, or whatever that is. And there are definitely times where you will have that and it is hard. But I think as a sibling, deep down, you always know they're not doing that because they love you less or they haven't got time for you, whatever that is. It is just a matter of they need me more right now. And that's fine because you will always get the time back. And I found as I've got older, if I had a teacher training day and my sister didn't, that is such like a us day. And my mum really does make that time. We will do as much as we can together. And it is just finding those kind of little pockets of time, which I think is so important. It doesn't need to be every day you feel
Mhm.
you need to give that time back to your neurotypical siblings, whatever that is. It's just making them feel special in certain moments is really important. I think like things like my mum showing up at school to an awards night meant far more than her sitting and doing the homework with me because I knew she'd gone to the effort of getting someone to look after my sister or making arrangements or whatever that was. She tried really hard. So you know in the back of your mind, she's not just gone, yeah, I'll come tonight. That actually all the planning and time she's put into that, that is the love they have for you. It's
Yeah.
not if they can't show it all the time, it's the things they do for you in different ways. Like my mum would always leave me a note in my lunchbox throughout the whole of primary school. And knowing that she took that time in the morning just to try and pick me up throughout the day, potentially, when she knows that she might have been an optician's appointment. She could have been anywhere at that point in the day, but it was a little, I'm still thinking about you, even though I'm probably not with you right now because I'm looking after your sister. It was little things like that that kind of mean the most. And even now, she'll do little things like she'll send me a little text like, we're at the hospital, with like a nice picture of my sister, whatever. But it would always be, wish you were here, we miss you today. Like, I hope this is going well. And it's just those little things that kind of tick you over and you don't then need all that time. But I know parents feel guilt. So many parents say it to us all the time that they wish they could split themselves into 500 and make sure that their neurotypical child had all that time dedicated to them. But it's just impossible, I think. I don't know if there's any fix, any way. But I think my mum also made it really important that I had of adults that I had really good relationships
Okay.
with, or that I had friends that I had really good relationships with. So if something did go wrong with my sister, it was, shall we ring them? Do you want to go to them? And kind of having that choice of, okay, this is going wrong. We're going into hospital. The ambulance is here. Do you want to go and stay with your dad? Do you want to go and stay with your auntie? Do you want me to phone a friend's mum? Where would you like to go? And kind of giving you that autonomy that you don't need to be in this situation if it's too much for you right now. And I think that was especially important for me during kind of my GCSEs and my A levels, that actually you are really important right now. And if something is going wrong or we need to make a plan or something changes, that doesn't make you less important because the things you
Mm.
are doing are really key. So that was nice. There was always kind of like a bit of a backup plan of, we can do this to make sure you're still just as important and looked after and whatever that is right now, even if my attention is slightly moved away. But she always made up for that time. And I think that's the hard bit. It's, do you have time to make up for that time? But there is always little
I
ways,
suppose
I
it doesn't
think.
need to be equal time, does it? But it could be
No, not at all.
equital time, if that's a
Yeah,
word. It can be equal in energy rather than equal in
yeah,
actual
definitely.
time, can't it? Or equal in
Yeah,
thought, like you
yeah,
said with your notes. I mean, that might have taken a couple of seconds to write, but that's not the point.
yeah. It
The
wasn't the
point
point.
is
Yeah,
that she's taking the time and energy and thought and making it really meaningful. So it's a
yeah,
rich experience rather than a
yeah, yeah,
lengthy experience. I think
yeah,
that's such great
definitely.
advice. What about for teachers? If they have in their class of
Yeah.
a disabled child in their class, how could a teacher better support them? Is there any
Yeah,
ways?
so I think in primary school it's quite hard because obviously you're quite young, and sometimes some parents obviously don't tell families like their other children everything, but then some siblings by default will know everything depending on how involved they are with their care. But I think just regular kind of check-in opportunities were always nice for me, and I always remember my year 7 form tutor every Friday, he'd say, "How's your sister been this week?" And then I'd kind of say, "Oh, she's done this, she's done that," and then he'd go, "But how have you been?" And he'd always make sure he followed up with that question afterwards. And if I kind of said, "Oh yeah, like it's been a bit of a busy week," he'd be like, "Well, is there anything I can do?" And even though there wasn't a lot of the time, knowing that every Friday he'd just go, "Oh, how's your sister been? How's home this week? Like, have you got everything done? Anything going on?" And I think at like big times when, I don't know, we were having the lift fitted and the house was turned upside down for 3 days or whatever that was, or maybe we were getting a new wheelchair and we didn't know if she was gonna be comfortable, all those things, because you a lot of the time at home have a lot of professionals in your house, have a lot of people changing things that you don't have a lot of say in. We don't, our family bathroom is for my sister. I can't have a bath anymore because that is
Right.
completely changed for her. It was nice in those times when he would ask, "Oh, how's things been?" Like, "Oh, well, we've lost the bath this week because we've now had to have a wet room." He'd kind of always try and make a way to make that situation a bit better. Like things like, "Oh, make sure you always book a holiday with a bath." And it was like, as much as he couldn't physically do anything about that situation, he always kind of turned it around to make it like, "Oh, that's not the end of the world though. There is always another option." And which I think was really nice, just to kind of, because I feel like as a sibling, sometimes you can have quite tunnel vision of, "Oh, that's just been done for my sister. I can't have that anymore. We've lost this. We don't have this space in the garden anymore because they put her ramp in," whatever that is. But it was nice for someone to kind of find the light in that and go, "Actually, no, well, if you don't have a trampoline at home, make sure you say in PE, I really want to go on the trampoline because you can't do that anymore at home." And just finding those ways. But I think as I got older and I had kind of like crucial education moments, like my GCSEs and A levels, especially before my GCSEs, because my sister had been quite poorly at the time, I asked my year head to sit down with me and make a plan. Because I said, if something goes wrong, I want to know straight away, but I don't want it to impact my performance either, because I was very much, I want to get these grades, I want to be able to do the best I can, but I was still worried at the same time. And it did happen in one of my exams that she got rushed to the hospital. And we made a really good plan of please come in, ask the exam invigilator, how far do you think she's got left? Can you just subtly walk past, see what page she's on, see what that is? And if you think she looks done or she's done, that's when one of us will come in and just say, oh, we think we need you now. Can you pop out?
Mhm.
So it wasn't this major disruption, major panic. It was actually handled in a really nice way that I then also didn't feel like everyone was looking at me and thinking, there she
Mm.
goes again, like something's happened with my sister, off she goes. But they actually made that accommodation on my terms, which made me feel so much more comfortable. But even things like at secondary school, especially, we weren't allowed phones at all. It was a complete ban at my school, which was completely fine. But I was allowed my mum to text me. So my mum was allowed to be not on Do Not Disturb. And if she texts, no matter what classroom I was in, no matter where I was allowed to take my phone out and check it just in case
Mhm.
something had gone wrong. And it happened once that I did have to take my phone out in the corridor. And it was quite funny that a teacher that I didn't know walked past, put your phone away. And one of my friends straight with him, I'm like, no, something's wrong with her sister. She's allowed to. And he immediately kind of checked himself and was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realise. And my school then worked really hard to kind of make sure that those who needed that were kind of protected by any members of staff who were walking around the school, and that it wasn't, they weren't so quick to judge. They kind of gave you that time to actually go, oh, no, actually, I'm trying to, and you don't want to be fumbling around and looking silly, but
Mhm.
they kind of didn't make you feel that in that situation, which was really nice. But I do think for teachers as well, sometimes school is a happier place than home because of everything that goes on. So they really need to make sure they're fostering that environment, no matter what it was. I loved PE, and every PE teacher I ever had said, "Do you want to stay after school tonight and do this? We've got this on. We've got this on." Just because those extra 45 minutes of playing netball, playing badminton, I didn't care what it was. It was something fun to do before potentially going home for 3 hours and cooking dinner and feeding my sister or changing her bed or doing all those things. It was that tiny bit of extra time just to be me
Yeah, be a
and not be
child.
worrying about it. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I think they often forget that you are still a child and you should still be the way everyone else in your class is, but a lot of the time you've kind of got your adult hat on, which you've kind of been given way too early or adopted way too early. And just giving time for those opportunities was so important. And there's lots of things I did with school that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to do with my sister because we maybe couldn't go on a day out there or we couldn't go on a trip there. But actually, when I was at school, I could because I didn't have to worry about my sister. But it was also a time for me just to have fun because I
Mm.
wasn't having to think about it. But obviously it is hard because education is very education heavy. I'm even working in schools, I know what that climate is like for teachers and it's so difficult for them to juggle. But I do think it is quite noticeable who the young carers are kind of in a class. But we even had a young carer support worker come in once a month and they'd just get us all together and be like, do you guys know each other here? Like, did you actually know? And that was nice then, because then if you saw each other on the playground, you'd give each other that, like, oh, hi, like, I know you're in a similar situation to me, kind of nod, but you didn't have to say anything. But then there were times that it was nice too. So I think even that in itself, just talking about what young carers do, bringing that awareness into schools, helps everyone, not just the teachers, but the 200 other people in your year group. They're kind of going, oh, okay, that makes sense as to why she does that, or why she
Yeah.
sometimes has to go home early, because a lot of people just didn't understand. But if there was a bit more school wide education on it, then maybe pupils and the teachers and other support staff within school would go, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I mean, there's masses they could do. It's very school specific. That's the problem.
It sounds amazing, and that's such great advice. You're full of so much wisdom, and I feel like lots of teachers and parents alike will listen to this and have taken lots from it.
Yeah,
What are your hopes for Ladybug Lodge? You sounds like you're doing so well already.
yeah.
What's the dream?
Oh, the dream is to have a lodge. Definitely have a lodge. Yeah, it's all down to, I blame it that we went on a trip with my sister has a red genetic condition and they've got a Facebook group and families across the UK will meet up every now and then. And I think I was only probably 11 or 12 at the time. And we went to a place in Maidstone called Thames Valley Adventure Playground. And we turned up and I literally, my jaw was on the floor. And I said to my mum, why do we not have this here? Why do we not have this at home? Why have we drove 2.5 hours to come here? And we walked in and everyone was literally the nicest person I've ever met ever. And my sister could go on the swing, on the roundabout. They had a zip wire. They had a two-story wooden castle, and she could go up on the second story. And I was literally mind blown. But then you went inside, and there was soft play, and there was a hoist in there, and there was a sensory room, and there was a music room, and there was all these things. And I was literally going, "Wow, why is there not send community centres where they're like this, and why is there not something near us like this? Why have we driven so far? And then as we learned about there, we looked at other places, and typically they were always an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever. But over time, we've slowly kind of gone to places, and every single time I just go, I just want to bring this back home. Just want to pick the whole building up, crane it to Coventry and drop it down and help all the families that are in Coventry, Warwickshire, whatever the surrounding area is, to have somewhere. So yeah, our goal is to have a lodge 100% with a swimming pool that isn't just open at 8 o'clock on a Sunday night to
Yes.
send children. Have a soft play, have a sensory room, have all those places that you can't just go to because usually they're in a school and the school closes and that's it. You can't access it in the holidays. But having somewhere that is open just all the time. So families who haven't got a preschool place can come in the week and they can play and they can meet professionals. And we always say it's so important to get local professionals in, the local LA and whatever that is, the nursing team, portage, whoever they are, get them in, but in a setting that's not intrusive, not feeling like you've constantly got 100 professionals in your house. Actually, no, come and meet there. That can be the place. Parents can have a nice chat with a professional, get some advice, or fill out a grant application form or whatever that is, borrow equipment, meet other parents, and then not worrying, can my child get out? Can they do this? Can they climb that? Is that safe? Is it all adapted? Actually, are we going to turn up to somewhere today where they can access everything? Just those little things, the basic needs really of a community centre is the absolute dream.
It sounds like a wonderful
It
dream.
is
And
a
I
dream.
totally believe that you're going to make it happen. I totally do. If people are listening from the local Coventry area,
Yeah.
how do they find you and how do they
Yeah,
join?
no, of course. So we're on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, always under kind of Ladybug Lodge. There might be SCND stuck on the end sometimes if we didn't get the name in time. But then our website is just www.ladybuglodge.co.uk. We have so many activities, especially in the holidays. Even if you don't live in Coventry or Warwickshire, we always say we'll take you as far as you come. We've got a very incredible boy who comes down from Nottingham. I think he's travelled like over 1,000 miles in total to come to us in the half terms. And yeah, if you want to come, book on. We always do a booking system because yeah, we hate when it's busy. Kids hate when it's busy. But we do all sorts special things like Santa's Grotto. Come and meet Father Christmas privately as a family, and actually don't take home a rubbish toy that your child's not going to be interested in. Take a selection of fidget toys. Take something that is important to you. But yeah, please, families, get involved. We always say it's lovely for people to come for the first time because they always look so nervous, and then 5 weeks later we've seen them 20 times in that time because they always say they feel like home or they don't feel that they're judged, which I think is so important. Coming to Ladybug Lodge, you shouldn't feel judged. You should never feel out of place. It's just somewhere that your child can be whoever they want to be, but also as a parent, if you want to sit down and have a cup of tea and actually not run around in soft play because you want to keep an eye on them, it's fine to just sit there because all the parents are going, oh yeah, my son does that too. Oh yeah, I was awake at 4 a.m. too. I'm shattered. I'd love a coffee. It's nice in that sense that it's not just for your son child. It's not just for you as a parent. It's not just for your sibling. It is for all of you. And everyone that works there, volunteers there, whatever it is, they all get it, be it lived experience, professional experience, be it themselves, a neurodiverse, whatever that is. But yeah, anyone that's anywhere in the UK, come and get involved. But we're always sharing other stuff as well that's happening in Coventry, Warwickshire. There's lots of other kind of hubs like this across the UK that we always are talking about. So yeah, even just follow us for information really,
Yeah,
because we're
do.
always sharing bits and bobs. That's really important. But if you're not one of those and you're a business or you're someone looking to be more inclusive, just have a look at what we do, get in contact with us. There's loads of things that we can share, resources, charities that we know that are kind of paving the way to make things either fully accessible for families with PMLD or actually include siblings and parents as well. So yeah, just for any reason really, give us a follow, I guess.
Absolutely, reach out. Thank you so much for joining me, Josie. It's been such an important conversation. I'm sure teachers and parents and siblings alike will get a lot out of this. So thank you so much
Yes,
for joining
thank
me. I
you
really
for having me.
appreciate it.